Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Dr. Billy Boyd Cox, and I just jumped on here this morning very quickly. I've been on here, I think, since 2020, when we were just in the midst of the pandemic. And so it's been a while since I've had an opportunity to come on and share. I got to get my eye contact together this morning because I'm doing camera, but I'm also looking down. And so I just got to make sure that my eye contact is together. And so I'm so excited that you came on today to join me here this morning. I just came on very quickly to just share a moment of motivation with you. As a woman, I think it's important for us to show up in our own stories. I think it's important for us to show up as our authentic selves. And so sometimes we get caught up in our emotions, and we tend to get stuck and stagnant in a place that we were not meant to be stuck or stagnant in. And so I just want to share with you this morning a thought that I've been dealing with for a few weeks now. And my broadcast is faith based, so you will hear me reference God. And if that's not your forte, uh, you know. There's a saying, eat the bone, eat the fish and spit out the bones. And so I hope you'll eat the fish and spit out the bones so that it'll help you on your journey forward. There is a saying that says, um, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonades. But I beg to differ with that thought and with that concept, because that to say that when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, that may work sometimes, but sometimes when life gives you lemons, there's a time when we're supposed to sit with it. There's a time when we're supposed to there's a time when we're supposed to process it, to go with the flow of what's going on. There's a time when the Bible tells us that there's a time and a season for every purpose under the sun. And so sometimes there is time when we need to be still, times when we need to sit with whatever we're going through. And that's what I want to talk about this morning, is the importance of uh, understanding that it is okay to look like what you are going through. It's okay to look like what you're going through, because we go through things for seasons and reasons. Sometimes things happen in our lives to establish us or to reestablish us. Sometimes things happen to redirect us. Sometimes things happen to cause us to pause, because to pause from the busyness of life, to pause from the busyness of life. And so I want to share with you this morning from the book of Ruth, in the very, I think in the very last, in chapter number 1, in the very last 2 or 3 verses, it tells a story about Naomi and Ruth and their arrival into Bethlehem. Now, uh, are if you are a Bible reader, you know this story. And for those who might need me to paraphrase it, let me grab it real quick and share with you. Uh, in the book of Ruth, in chapter number 1, there's a man named Elimelech, and his wife is Naomi, and he has 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. And there is a famine in Bethlehem, Judah, where they live. And so the husband leads his family to Moab, to an accursed place. He leads them to Moab so that they can survive the famine outside of the realm of Bethlehem, Judah. And as he is there, he dies, and the sons decide to stay, and they marry 2 Moabite women, Ruth and Orpah, and they stay. And after 10 years or so, the sons die, and Naomi is left in Bethlehem, Judah, in Moab, with her 2 daughters-in-law. She's left there with them, and she has to make a decision. But before she can make a decision, there's something, she hears something in Moab that causes her to be able to know that this is to make a move. It's time to make a move. Now, uh, just think about this. She's lost her husband. She's lost her 2 sons. She's in unfamiliar territory in these patriarchal streets. She is uncovered. She is without the covering of the males in her family, because those who covered her are now deceased. And so she hears that God is blessing the people in Bethlehem, Judah. She hears that. So she has to, at this point, decide what to do. She's in the middle of death devastation, and there is a decision to be made. There's a decision. She can decide to stay in a foreign land. She can decide not to move forward. She can decide that I'm going to stay in my feelings. I'm going to stay in my emotions. I'm not going to move from here. I'm going to stay with the dead. But sometimes you have to bury the ashes. Sometimes you have to be willing to move forward so that you don't get stuck in your emotions. And so Naomi decided to leave Moab. She decided to leave and to return to Bethlehem, Judah. And we know that there was a separation process because Orpah decided to stay in Moab, but Ruth decided to go with Naomi. And as they traveled together, they arrived back at Bethlehem, Judah. And when they got there, the Bible says that the entire time that the entire town said, "Is that Naomi?" Now they could have been saying it because there was an element of surprise. They could have been saying that because they didn't expect to see her. They didn't. They could have been saying it because they were glad that she had come home. There are multiple reasons why they could have been saying it, and they also could have said that because Naomi looked like what she had been through, because she showed up looking tired and weary after the journey. She showed up still in a moment and in a time of grief. She showed up in a time where she was stressed out. She showed up looking like what she had been through, and it was okay to look like what she had been through. It was okay. Naomi did a thing. She said, "Don't call me Naomi," which means pleasant. "Call me Myra," which means bitter. She changed her disposition. She changed how she felt about herself. And when you are stuck and stagnant, when you are in a place that you are not meant to be in, when you stay there too long and wallow in emotions and not function in emotional intelligence and not function in emotional wellness, you are harder on yourself. You are down on yourself. And so she changed her name. She felt differently about herself. But I want to encourage you this morning that if you are going through something or about to go through something or just coming out of something, to first of all give yourself permission to say to yourself, because we have to encourage ourselves, give yourself permission to say to yourself, "It's okay. It is okay to look like what I've gone through," because there's a lesson to be taught here. For me, most of this year I have been sick. I mean, I've been very bed ridden sick this year. And I wanted to go live because that's what I do. I minister to women in these social spaces, and so I wanted to go live, but I kept saying, "Well, my hair isn't done because I'm in the house. I'm in the bed. My hair is all over my head. I didn't have makeup on. I was in so much pain that I wasn't able to do anything but call on God. I wasn't looking my best." But looking your best does not suggest anything other than you've combed your hair, put on some makeup, and put on some clothes. It does not say that you are better, that you have come through what you've gone through. It does not say any of that. And so I want you to give yourself permission to go ahead and say to yourself, "I'm not okay." And it's okay to look like what I'm going through. It's okay to look like where I'm coming from. It's okay, because guess what? That dilemma does not define you. It's a moment, it's a wrinkle in time. It's a pause in your life, in your situations. But as I think about this in the movie The Color Purple, where Mr. is telling Celie she's black and she's ugly and saying all of these negative things to her, she responds to him in a positive way. She says to him, "All of this may be true. I may be black and I may be ugly, but I'm still here." And I want to tell you this morning, you're still here. Even though you're going through, even though you've been through, you're still here. And you're still here with a purpose. You're still here on God's purpose. You're still here. So because you are still here, it's okay to look like what you're going through. It is okay for you to sit with what you're going through, to sit with whatever you've been experiencing. It's okay. It is okay for you to do that. Because for Naomi came back to Bethlehem, Judah, and her statement to the people after she said, "Don't call me this, call me that. Don't call me this, call me that." She says, uh, "The Lord has dealt with me bitterly." She says, "I left here full." She was a wife. She was a mother to her two sons. She left there full, even though she was leaving because there was a famine in the land. She left full, which meant my identity as a wife and a mother has been broken. It has been challenged. It has been tainted. Now I'm a widow. I was a wife, but now I'm a widow and I'm a mother always, but my sons are no longer here. And Naomi was feeling some type of way about that. And it's okay for us to feel all the feels, but you can't stay in the feelings. You cannot stay in the feelings. We have to get up and move forward after we have gone through the process, because what going through the process does, it allows us to deal with it, allows us to lay aside, for me particularly, to lay aside the persona of perfection. It allows me and allows you to process where you are, what you're going through, and the lesson that you learned as you went through what you are going through. It allows you to come to yourself. It allows you to come to yourself, to deal with, to confront what you're facing. It allows you to, and this is not to minimize anything. It's not to minimize. It's to help us to move forward. It's to help us to come out whole. It's allowing us to sit with it, to acknowledge it, to come through it, and realize that you are not it. Whatever it is, you are not it, and it does not have you. It does not have you. It can't hold you unless you give up the ability to move forward. It cannot hold you unless you allow your emotions to keep you entrapped in the circumstance. Process it, learn from it, grow from it, because when you sit with it and when you process, when you give yourself permission to lament, when you give yourself permission to grieve, when you give yourself permission to ask God questions, to question yourself, to see how you got in this situation, what you could have done different. You take the wisdom, you take the clarity, you take the learning that is available to you in that moment. You take that, you capture that, you hold on to that. And then that is where you are able to rise up like the phoenix from the ashes. You are able to rise up, show up in your own story, and reset your life. That's what it's all about, is being able to reset, to give yourself permission to go through, to endure, to have long suffering, but then also know when it's time to press reset on your life so that you can continue to move forward. There's a time and a season for everything. And when you allow yourself to process, when you allow yourself to get the necessary help that you need, when you allow yourself to sit with what's going on in your life, when you allow yourself, when you give yourself permission to acknowledge, to accept what's going on. It doesn't mean that you have to accept every aspect of it, but what's meant for you to go through it, but you don't have to take everything through it with you. There's some things that will automatically be purged because you've gone through. There's some things that you're going to leave behind because there's a process in place to help you understand what's for you and what you need to leave in the last season. You're on to a new season. It's just like creation. It's just like the trees. This is we're in the fall of the year, and the leaves are starting to change color, and the leaves are starting to fall from the tree, which will leave the tree barren. It will leave the tree barren. But guess what? Life is inside the tree. It may not be evident on the outside, but inside the tree, there is still life. The roots are still secure in the ground. The roots are still secure under the dirt, and they came up out of the dirt. And now you have this magnificent tree. And in due season, the tree will blossom and bloom again. It won't bring back the old leaves that fell off because it was time for them to die and to shed and to leave so that the tree could have new life. The same works for us. There's a time and a season. Ruth and Naomi came back to Bethlehem, Judah in due season. It was the beginning of the barley harvest. It was the beginning of more. It was the beginning of greater. It was the beginning that they needed in order to move forward. Naomi left Bethlehem, Judah, because there was a famine. She came back in time of plenty. She came back as a widow and a mother who had lost her children. She came back not knowing who was going to be her kinsman's redeemer, but she came back. You're still here. You're coming back. You're on your way out of what you've been going through. And it's okay to show up as your own self, show up in your own story, show up authentically as you are, and go ahead and be great. Show up because better days are ahead. Better days are ahead. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, I am Dr. Billy Boyd Cox, and you have joined my YouTube channel. And I hope, well, you're here on my YouTube channel. I want you to go ahead and do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's going to be so much more that you will encounter here in this space, so many different levels and ways to reach me and come and be in community with me so that we can grow together. Because, well, even the Bible, when God created Adam, he looked around and he saw that he had created animals, and every animal had somebody, but Adam didn't have anybody. And he said it's not good that the man should be alone, so he made the woman. So we are here, sisters, for a reason. We are here by design. We're here on purpose. And so let us walk and do community together. Let us do community together. Let us grow together. I'm a certified life coach. Let us grow together. Let us come to community together. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I also want to invite you to go over to social media. You'll find me on Instagram at I am Dr. Billy, and Billy is spelled Billie. I also want you to go, if you are on Facebook, go to Facebook and follow me at Billy Boyd Cox, Billy Boyd Cox. You'll find me there as well. There are some clones out there. So the way that you will know that it's me is that I have a black dress on in the photo, in the profile photo. There's a black dress on, and I have a picture of when I was in Paris of the Eiffel Tower behind me as my background photo. So that's how you'll know it's me, and that's how you'll know you're on the right one. I also have a private Facebook group on Facebook called Reset Your Life. I also invite you to go over, follow me on Facebook. When I see that you're following me, I'll send you an invitation to the private Facebook group. It is for women only. It is definitely for women only. I minister you from a place where I live. I'm not trying to tell a man how to be a man, even though emotional intelligence is good for all of us. I want to make sure that as God has lifted me, that I lift my sisters. I'm called to save the daughters alive. God bless you all. I look forward to talking to you again very soon. So go ahead and subscribe to this page so that you can keep up and we can be in community. God bless you. Take good care.